out, you know what I mean?
Got a list of things. Get this pulled out and out the way. Figure out where this is running to. It almost looks like a TPS plug or like an oil. I guess the oil center's the same, but just go through this and all this up. Figure out why the fuel pump's like piggybacked into a power wire to run all the time. I think it's touching right now, and it runs. Like, I don't get why he's got it all on all the time. It primes with the key on like it's supposed to. There's just a bunch of little things that need to be fixed and buttoned up and cleaned that aren't optimal at all. It's literally just a stock 5.3 bone stock 706 heads. And then I gotta get the fans to work because they don't work anymore, I guess. I don't know what happened, but he said that at one point they worked. I don't know what the point in this F-body fan control module is. Maybe it was like a bypass option to get the fan to come on sooner without having to flash the ECU. These two wires right here are two tranny wires. I don't know what all this stuff is. A lot of stuff. There's nothing even in it. Oh, that's just wound through it. Jesus. So I'm pretty sure those are the tranny pins. There's just a lot of stuff just hanging out. This is just a factory plug that goes up here. It runs to the AC. This cruise bracket could go in like so. The way this is arced, it really isn't optimal. As you can see, like, it needs to be up like this, but the way the cable bends, it can't. It really needs to be like another hole drilled and pivot it down. So maybe we'll work on that also. I don't know if we'll start on the engine bay or start on the suspension or what, but I'll pick one and get going on it. I got it up in the air. I measured the wheelbase on it, center to wheel, center to wheel. The passenger side, so factory wheelbase on these things are 101.1 inches, so 101 and 10. The wheelbase for the passenger side, 101 and 3/4, which is a difference of 0.65. And the driver's side and the passenger side, or no, yeah, the driver's side's real bad. Yeah, so passenger side's 101 and 3/4. Driver's side is 102.5 inches, which is 1.4 inches over, which you can clearly tell how much gap there is there and is not there. So it's got some nice shit on it. It's got AFCOs. But we're gonna fix that. So this is the rod right here that I'm gonna try and take a little bit out of to pull this wheel back just a little bit more to maybe get that closer to that 101.1. Okay, just made a discovery. So I get that arm adjusted. I'm thinking, it'll make a decent difference. No, did not make a decent difference. I'm like, all right, something is clearly off here. So I start looking. Something just doesn't, like, the suspension's leaned forward. I thought it was supposed to be tilted backwards for the caster. I'm like, dude, that just seems off. Like, go to the other side, and I'm like, fuck, this one's leaning pitched forward too. Let me look at mine. Luckily, I have another Trans Am sitting here. And it's slightly leaned back, and he said the control arm's in backwards. So the straight portion of the arm is supposed to be back here, and then the bend is supposed to be in the front, as you can see. So that makes huge difference. You can see the top of this shock right here. It's got spacers in it. So you go down here on the bottom, if you look up in there, I just had a washer, and there's nothing to pivot. If I pull that bolt out, but the hole for this bolt in the shock is huge. Like, there's a big gap. That bolt isn't big enough. So it's it's missing spacers like that are on the hose joints. So, let's see if I can get here, Smalls. No, I don't want kisses. Get out of here, movie. No, Smalls, I don't want kisses. It's missing an insert of some sort. And you can tell that it's supposed to have one down here because look where that's tweaked, where they've ran it down so tight that actually, started to bend it and chip the paint off. These little ends or joints that need to go up here. That way this will sit properly. It's not gonna have any issues because that's not gonna pivot. When it goes up and down, it's gonna pivot a little bit. When it pivots, it's gonna pivot like that. And this needs to be able to move a little bit. Like a McPherson strut, it's bolted solid. It just pushes straight up in. This one's meant to pivot a little bit. It's not gonna be able to. It's gonna just eat that aluminum off the body of that. Like it's nothing. I got the upper control arm off of this side. Suspension's just hanging out. Probably gonna end up trying to make some sort of bracket to hold this brake line because there isn't anything holding it. It's just from one side to the next. It's just flopping around. He ordered the correct spacer, bushing, bearing, whatever you want to call it, that goes in here. Like a spherical type deal, the snap rings. So I'll end up taking this one out to put that one in because as you can see, squeeze that together and it should squeeze it together. It should stay where it's at. And it should be about an inch. Down here is about an inch wide where I measured where it hadn't been bent on the other side. So it's supposed to have an inch spacer and it needs something to be able to pivot, and it's not gonna be able to pivot when it's squeezed up against the aluminum like this, and it doesn't have a bearing or something it can spin on. So, but as you can see, the geometry is way off. Jesus. And there's that side. I'll show you the difference. Look at the placement. Try to line those up. Look at the difference in where it places that spindle for the upper ball joint. That is the main difference of why this thing was leaned forward. It should just have a slight caster. I believe it's positive caster, which is back towards the passenger. It's got caster. It's supposed to be leaned backwards for stability, basically. About to pull these snap rings out right here. So put these new bushings in. It made it seem like there's one on each side, but I don't see one on this side. Same with this, I only see one on one side. This side, the hole's not as big as that side, but you can see where they had the brackets, like the tabs on the controller, and they had this thing squeezed so tight because that's recessed in. It doesn't stick out like these do. So these stick out, so it'll actually fit between the mounting tabs. Instead, you can see there's quite a difference. What it did was it squeezed the mounting tabs in like this and pinched it, so it didn't have anything to pivot on because it wasn't touching this, it was touching the body of the shock, so it started to gouge the aluminum pretty good. But I had to take and pry this out and work it around. Because there's nothing to there's nothing to really squeeze on this. It's just got that little tab, so it just pries it out. Let's see if we can do this one. It doesn't go anywhere. I'm not even looking at it. Sorry, guys. I don't know what that is. Again, you see the camera's moving. This is part of the aluminum. Let me see if I can get these tabs out. Alright, they're in there, tightened up. That is much better. My only worry is, when they tightened these down before, there was no spacer here. It was I would say maybe a ½ inch on each side. It wasn't a lot. It was squeezing at the width of this, so maybe like a 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch each side. Squeeze these pads in. You can see it there. It started chipping the paint a little bit. I don't care for that it did that because I'm worried it stressed it out and it took some of the strength away by squeezing it in. So it took the bracket and squeezed it like that. So then I had to take and slowly try and squeeze it back out to fit this new bearing in between it where it's supposed to be. It's in there now. Everything's bolted up. I got the bottoms 6 clicks from soft, tops 6 clicks from soft also. So now it's on to the next thing. Start something else on the list. I'll mark that off and then start on the next thing. I might go ahead and chop this off and weld that, get that out the way. This side all buttoned up and done. That there comes across. There's a gap there. And then this originally went here, but I'm not actually able to put it there and bolt it to anything. So because the factory came member, I think I had a spot for it to bolt to. So I made a bracket that went from there to there to add some more rigidity to something to bolt to it. And then I just put a bolt with a nut insert on that side and then bolted it there. Over here, for some reason, it really kind of stretched it out a little bit more for some reason. As far as the brake line, it's not tight, but it's not loose. So I put a spacer because when I would just put this against it like the other side, it was just real tight. So this gives it some slack still. And the suspension drooped all the way out also. So when it comes up, it probably won't be as bad. But that is done. I'm gonna make some sort of bracket for the front here to mount it there, mount it to the other side. Bottom bracket mount made here. Got it mounted at the bottom of this bracket pinion mount here, and then just mounting it there. So it's pretty solid. It ain't going nowhere. It's solid all the way up into the fender where I got it mounted over there. So this keeps it from dangling around at least. I think next on my list, I'm also looking at that. That thing is like really close. I think what I'm gonna work on now is tracking down some of this wiring. This looks to be the wire that's supposed to go over here for the fan setup. We've got it. They fucking foamed the hole in a wall. I don't know if they drilled a hole or what they did, but they put foam in it. So I'll come into the dash and see what's up with that. But this isn't gonna reach across here and over to the shock tower. I don't know what they got going on here. Again, I don't know why we weren't able to make a tune in the computer change, or a change in the tune on the computer. So I just put the fans that come on earlier. I don't know why you would need these to manually just force them on all the time, high or low, when the computer could do the same thing on its own. I guess it was just one of those things people sold and people fucking, bought it because they said, "Oh, to keep my engine cooler, it's a better option." So I don't know, but I don't know where this switch is for it. Yeah, supposed to have a 3 toggle switch somewhere under here. I don't see it anywhere. So I'm gonna try and look. I'm gonna do some looking and digging and see if I can. Oh. Found it.